Good evening, morons. It's Victor, King of the Morons, here with my Zenzen Wakaranai shirt, which I wore earlier today. And if you checked out my gimmeabreakman channel, where I made a JNUs with a new vlogger named Kazuko. Very cute girl, 25-year-old girl, really nice. And I'm working on her interview. We did an interview today, and it's almost done, but my what's it called? iPhoto software is stuck restoring itself for some reason. So I guess I could keep working on it, but I also want to just make a quick, I guess what do you call them? Oh yes, laundry vlogs. Laundry vlogs. Remember, laundry vlog is a video that you don't really need to watch. Just listen to as I answer questions or talk about whatever. And I got to get to this because I keep forgetting. I had a lump. I found a lump on my back almost 2 weeks ago now. And the next day I immediately went to the doctor, who said, "Oh, we better go get this checked out at a bigger hospital." And I went the Monday after that to a very large hospital near my house, actually. And they gave me a CT and told me that it was a lump of a fat buildup, which for me just sounds like a disgusting thing to have. But it's just a bump on my back that's fat. It just sounds like I need to exercise, right? But no, it's not that kind of fat. It's just a kind of, a bump of fat. I don't know how to explain it. But it's on my back, and I have I have a good friend who's a doctor who I consulted about this. He works with cancer a lot. And the doctor said it's probably not cancer. And my friend said, well, yeah, it's probably not cancer. He looked at it actually on Skype. I showed it to him on Skype, and he said, oh, it's probably not cancer, but you can't really tell until you get it removed. So you should get it removed, was what he said. And the annoying thing about this is that if you get it removed in the States, it'd be like a date. What's it called? What's it called when you in an outpatient? No, I forgot what it's called. Outpatient, yeah, outpatient procedure. But in Japan, they want to keep you for 3 days, right? So it really depends. Well, I was talking to Mully about this, and he was like, well, he had some experience where he thought that it was actually, maybe I misunderstood, but he thought at the conversation, I thought he was agreeing with me, but then he said that he had a case where he was glad that it wasn't an outpatient procedure. It was that he thought it was proper that they kept him overnight. So I don't want to get into too much detail because it's like none of your business. It's his business. But anyway, but yeah, in Japan, the hospitals tend to keep you longer than necessary. Like in the States, if you have a baby, you go home the next day, right, with the baby. In Japan, it'd be like a week or so, And then after you have a baby, like the wife will go back to her parents' house and stay there like a month or so. Which is pretty weird, I think, right? Oh, I'm drinking water. Oh, it's blasphemy. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let me have a little of this then for you. This is for you. But a little nightcap before I go to sleep. What time is it? 2:23. I'm not gonna finish this tonight. But I got a light week, so I can wake up late tomorrow. So no biggies. But I have decided. Excuse me for the loud swallowing. I hate it when people drink on camera. But this is the unedited channel, so. So I'm going under the knife the 28th, and it's just a local anesthesia. Did anyone notice at the beginning of Titanic, the guy refers to Princess Anesthesia, and he's talking about the Russian princess. I think the one that started World War I or something. I don't remember. Well, someone write in the comments. I forgot. That's the problem with knowledge. You have to keep refreshing it, or it just gets garbled. Like my computer, everything has to be reformatted. Oh, this information is no longer valid. It's been garbled. But anyway, it's local anesthesia. She said, just the shot's gonna hurt. After that's not gonna hurt. but they're gonna cut it out, and it's very, like, they took a CT scan and they showed it to me, and it's just, you can barely see it. Like, that's it. It's just a bump on my back, but you know, might as well get rid of it, and it's gonna cost like $500 or $600. You know, a lot of sudden bills this year. Every time I think I'm getting above, you know, I'm making some money here, and then boom, some bill comes out, hits me in the nuts, kicks me in the nuts. Yeah, so that's what's happening. Anyway, I don't have cancer, I think, and even if I do, they're gonna take it out on the 28th. So unless they open me up and find out and discover that most of my body's fat, then I wouldn't worry about it. It's gonna be okay. But yeah, going to the hospital in Japan, man, oh my god, what a drag. It's like imagine you are in a Walking Dead, a hospital full of the Walking Dead. I swear to god, everyone, 90% of everyone is like this old person who's walking like it's like you're in the hospital full of the Walking Dead, and they're all really tired or just can't be bothered to bite you. They're just so lazy, and you're trying to walk around them like, oh, okay. It's really annoying, and it's kind of you know, it makes you, what's it called? It's called not awake. Oh my god, sobering. Yes, sobering. Yeah, I can't remember that word, sober. It's kind of sobering because, you know, that's going to be me someday, in another 50 years, right? Wow, like, people are so tiny, skinny, and frail, and oh my god, you know, I can't believe it, you know, like, wow. And it makes me think about Maggie a little bit. So it's been almost 100 days since Maggie died, and she went under full anesthesia. So I was thinking, oh, I don't want to go under full anesthesia, because you just wake up, have an hour of health, and die like Maggie did. So, I talked to I got a phone call from just Miyabi the other day. I probably shouldn't mention her. I hope she didn't see this video. She'll go nuts. But nobody talks to her anymore. She's erased her account, so she doesn't watch YouTube at all. But she asked me, oh, how's your dog? That kind of hurt a little bit. She's dead. You know, there's a lot of people in my building who don't ask about her, because I think people just know. They just stop seeing her, so people just realize. You know. And I guess that's what'll happen on YouTube. Someday I'll be dead, and no one will really know, you know. There won't be any more videos. And that's, I mean, yeah, it happens, you know. But it makes you think about life and the end, because it really will pass by in a blink of an eye, right? This much has passed by in a blink of an eye. I can remember yesterday being in high school, junior high school. Anyway, I should answer a couple questions. So people have really been sending me tons of questions, and I'm a selfish son of a bitch, so I've been not answering them. But there's one in particular that I'm not really. A couple things that are interesting I thought I would talk to you about, and that's that although I lived in Japan for over 23 years, I'm not Japanese. I have no intention of being Japanese, but I do have opinions about Japan. And I was talking to Regan, who I think is just one of the smartest fellows I've met in a long time, about this the other day. And it wasn't so much as something he said, but something that just talking to him made me realize. You know, when you talk, I noticed this a while ago, but the more you talk to people, the more you learn, even if you don't get it from them. Just sounding out your thoughts helps you develop them. So I was talking to him about the fact that, you know, I make videos on YouTube and I talk about Japan, but a lot of right-wingers, or we don't have to call them right-wingers, just nationalists, or patriots even, think I have no right to speak of Japan. And I'm sure I've been in Japan longer than some of these people have been alive, you know. And actually, I had a very, well, I'll even say a nice exchange with random Yoko the other day. And I don't know if you guys know this, but she's an English-speaking Japanese vlogger, very nice girl. You know, the last I actually dealt with her in any way, which is years ago. But we had an exchange on email the other day, and it was pretty nice actually. We both acknowledged that we're very different and we have different opinions, but it was all very respectful. But you know, even though I've been in Japan probably as long as she's been alive, because I'm not Japanese, I have no real right to talk about Japan in many people's eyes. And it's kind of ironic. I mean, I think in the States, people would let you, like, okay, you know, you're American now. But the thing is, I'm not Japanese. I don't want to be Japanese. I'm fine being American. I'm going to be an American forever. I'm going to die an American. And I don't say that with any real pride. And maybe I'm flaky on this channel, so maybe I'll change my mind. But it was just interesting that you can't criticize people unless you're Japanese. And you know how I found this out? Is I sent a link. That's what it was. I sent a link to Regan, 2 links that I thought were funny. One of them was, or maybe he knew it. Anyway, one of them was the I have a bad case of diarrhea song, which if you look on YouTube, it's pretty funny. It's out there. And another link was this skit of a comedian named Shimura Ken who's teaching English. And I'll try to find the links to put them in the description. They're really funny. But I realized when I was watching that skit that although it's really funny, I could never do that skit because it would look like I was just making fun of Japanese pronunciation. But it's worth showing to students because they can I just remind them, hey, be careful with pronunciation now. But the point is, you can't make fun of Japanese if you're not Japanese. And at the same time, you can't really criticize Japan if you're not Japanese in many people's eyes. And for that reason, I realized that it's kind of reasonable for them to have this mindset that I can't criticize them. So when they get angry at me, I shouldn't really take it too personally, I guess. I should understand that. And so when I personally think that Japan should have a standing army because most other countries have one, and the U.S., they wouldn't have to rely on the U.S. so much, and the U.S. could actually spend less money on their military if Japan had their own standing army. When I say things like that, I get a lot of slack for that, but actually pretty much supports most of what nationalists say. But even agreeing with them is not really my right, I guess. Sometimes I think, you know. And I got a letter today from a guy who lives in the States, but he's Japanese. I'll just call him K, but he has 3 names. He has 3 names, which is kind of strange. So I'm assuming he lives in the States now. And he wanted to know what I thought about that. And I guess ideally, it's like this. It's like guns in the States. Ideally, nobody should have a gun, period. If nobody had a gun, not even the criminals, not even the good guys, then there would be less deaths, okay? However, there are already guns out there, except for bears. Bears would eat and kill everybody. But because there are guns out there, then you should have a gun, I guess, you know, as much as I'm comfortable with that. It's also unrealistic to expect people not to have guns with there's crazy people running around with guns. And the same thing with the military. If none of the countries have militaries, then nobody should have a military, including Japan. But the truth is, North Korea is crazy, and they're really close by. China's, you know, always rattling their sabers. So I think Japan should have a standing army. If I were Japan, I'd want one. And I know I'm not educated, or, you know, I don't have the whatever right to talk about this, but that's how I feel. And I remember. And I thank Clinton for once saying everyone's opinion counts. But in this case, I guess what he meant, I guess we should adjust that to everyone's opinion counts as long as you're a citizen. Anyway, those are my thoughts as I go to sleep. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. And I'm sorry there haven't been so many of these laundry videos out, but I will put them up again soon. Oh yes, and I am aware that Mira put up another video, but I'm really not interested. So I suppose I still owe a cap video to just cap off the whole thing, but that'll have to wait for another day. All right, thanks for watching. I see you guys soon. Boom! Right in the gut.